Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're in the market for a new television right now, you already know that navigating the premium TV aisle can honestly feel like you need a degree in advanced engineering. So today, we're going to cut straight through that overwhelming wall of marketing jargon. We're going to break down the actual science behind the screens and figure out which display technology is genuinely better for you, for your viewing habits, and for your specific living room.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll tackle the alphabet soup. Then we'll look at how the tech actually works, followed by the ultimate showdown, and finally, we'll answer the big question, which one should you buy? Let's jump right in.
Section 1, the alphabet soup, where we decode all that jargon.
You walk into a store today, right? And immediately you hit this absolute wall of acronyms. Mini LED, HDR, Dolby Vision, quantum dots. It is genuinely exhausting. But let's validate that confusion for a second and then immediately strip away all the marketing fluff. Because honestly, when you clear away the noise, there are really only two true heavyweights dominating the premium market today, OLED and QLED. Everything else, it's really just a variation or a tweak on these two foundational technologies.
Okay, moving to Section 2, how the tech works under the hood.
To really understand how these screens generate light, let's start with OLED, which stands for Organic Light-Emitting Diode. Unlike a traditional television, an OLED screen doesn't have a massive backlight sitting behind the panel. Instead, think of an OLED display like millions of tiny, totally independent light bulbs. Every single pixel produces its own light. And here is the real magic trick. When a pixel needs to display black, it literally just turns itself completely off. Because it's emitting zero light, brands like LG and Sony can display pitch black darkness right next to a blindingly bright star, with absolutely zero light bleeding over. It's incredible. Then, on the other hand, we have QLED, or Quantum Dot Light Emitting Diode. Now, despite the really similar acronym, this is a fundamentally different approach. QLEDs, which are heavily championed by manufacturers like Samsung and TCL, still rely on a traditional backlight sitting behind the screen. What actually makes them special is this layer of microscopic quantum dots that dramatically supercharges the color and brightness. But because they use that backlight, they rely on things called dimming zones. This means groups of LEDs have to dim together. The individual pixels can't completely turn themselves off. And that results in what we call blooming, that slight halo of light you sometimes see around bright objects on a really dark background.
All right, Section 3, the ultimate showdown, the tale of the tape. Let's put these contenders in the ring, starting with black levels. The crucial thing here is what happens when you're watching dark space scenes or gritty nighttime movies. OLED just delivers perfect, true black. It is without a doubt the undisputed champion of the dark. Because QLED relies on a backlight, its blacks will often appear as a very, very dark gray. And you might catch that slight blooming effect around bright subtitles or streetlights. So if you're a cinema purist, OLED's true black completely transforms the experience.
And those perfect blacks build directly into our next metric. Contrast ratio. Contrast is simply the difference between the brightest whites and the darkest blacks your TV can produce. QLED has very high contrast, for sure, especially with modern mini LED tech. But OLED? OLED has mathematically infinite contrast. Because the denominator in that ratio, the black level, is literally zero light, the contrast is infinite. Honestly, no other television tech currently on the market can match the sheer, popping realism that infinite contrast gives you.
But wait, because this right here brilliantly illustrates QLED's absolute superpower, 4,000 plus nits of brightness. While OLED dominates the darkness, QLED is the undisputed king of the light. If you've got a living room with massive sunlit windows, or you love watching TV in the middle of a bright Sunday afternoon, modern QLED TVs can exceed an eye-watering 4,000 nits of peak brightness. They'll easily slice right through any glare your room throws at them. Now, OLEDs have gotten way brighter recently, often hitting 1,500 to 2,000 nits. But QLED still comfortably wins the brightness battle, hands down.
Next up on the showdown is viewing angles. Picture this. You're hosting a Super Bowl party or a movie night, and your friends are spread all across a massive wide sectional sofa. With OLED, the viewing angles are practically flawless. Everyone gets an identical, perfect picture even from extreme side angles. QLED screens, just due to the physical nature of those backlight layers, typically lose a bit of their brightness and color accuracy if you aren't sitting dead center.
Now, for all the gamers out there, both of these technologies are absolutely phenomenal for modern gaming. They both support 120 Hz refresh rates, variable refresh rate, incredibly low input lag. It really just ends up being a tie, depending on what kind of gamer you are. OLED offers lightning-fast pixel response times and incredible contrast for immersive, moody games. QLED offers blindingly bright HDR highlights for vibrant, colorful games, and crucially, gives you total peace of mind regarding our very next topic,
Burn-in. Yeah, this is the elephant in the room. Burn-in happens when a static image, like a news ticker, a sports scoreboard, or a video game HUD, is left on the screen for hundreds of hours and actually leaves a permanent ghost image. With QLED, the risk is zero. Literally none. You can leave a news channel on 24/7 without breaking a sweat. With OLED, because of those organic compounds, burn-in is technologically possible. Now, to be fair, modern OLEDs use incredible software tricks like pixel shifting and automatic screen refresh cycles to make burn-in far less common today than it was a few years ago. But still, for pure, absolute peace of mind with static images, QLED definitely wins.
So, looking at the complete scorecard of our technological showdown, OLED sweeps the board for perfect black levels and contrast, while QLED commands brightness and overall affordability. And I want you to notice that lifespan metric. They are both rated excellent, which leads me perfectly into busting a very common, very persistent myth. 100,000 hours. A lot of people think premium TVs, especially OLEDs, degrade super quickly. That is simply false today. Modern OLED panels commonly last around 100,000 hours. To put that into perspective for you, that equates to over 10 years of heavy daily viewing. Both QLED and OLED are incredibly durable investments for your home. You're not going to wear them out under normal viewing conditions anytime soon, I promise.
which brings us to Section 4. Which should you buy? The final verdict.
We've covered the specs, the strengths, and the weaknesses. But instead of just declaring one universal winner, let's actually profile your specific viewing habits. You should choose OLED if your absolute priority is the ultimate cinematic experience. If you're someone who loves to dim the lights, pop some popcorn, and you want to see every single shadow reveal incredible realistic detail without any blooming, OLED is the gold standard. It is the connoisseur's choice for dark rooms, movie buffs, and gamers who crave atmosphere.
On the flip side, you should confidently choose QLED if you've got massive sunlit windows that cause annoying glare. If you love throwing open the curtains and watching bright daytime sports, or if you frequently leave the news on in the background while you work, QLED is your champion. Plus, it tends to offer an outstanding balance of performance and value, meaning you can very often get a much larger QLED screen for the exact same price as a smaller OLED. It's just the smarter investment for bright, bustling, multi-use family rooms.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Take a look around your own living room right now. Seriously, look around. Where are the windows? When do you usually sit down to watch? What kind of viewer are you? Because the truth is, we are living in a golden age of television technology. Whichever display perfectly aligns with your lifestyle, whether it's the infinite, moody contrast of OLED or the brilliant, sun-defying power of QLED, you are in for a massive, transformative home entertainment upgrade. So what do you think? Which screen is going to light up your space?